Hello and welcome to Massage Chair Relief Live. I'm Dr. Alan Widener. We appreciate you attending with us today. My guest today is John Cribbs, Executive VP of Cozzia USA. And John, we welcome you to this forum today. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And I'll say hello from Annapolis, Maryland. Well, I was telling Alan, I figured that maybe a background of showing Annapolis would be better than a background of a white wall behind me in my office. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to find that people are going to be from all over the place. Oh, it looks like you're having a little problem scrolling, going to Facebook. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah, it looks like they're having a little problem with it showing up on Facebook. Hopefully they can get that figured out. But anyways, I'm sure people will appreciate, especially those that are served in the military, will appreciate the Annapolis setting. I'm in my home office, but I do have a picture of our Arizona showroom behind us. It makes it look like I'm there. But anyways, clever stuff. Anyways, but it's good to have you, John. And I know we've chatted for a bit about this to get you on here, and I'm glad that we have you. Cozzia, and I won't go. I'll let you get into this, but we don't carry Cozzia chairs on our website or in our showroom, but we have you on this stream because we carry Ogawa, JP Medics, and Brookstone. So and maybe you can talk about the history of how you got well, and we'll talk a little bit about how you. And maybe you can straighten that out, because I know that there's an intimate relationship between the factory and Cozzia USA. I know that it's direct. There's a direct link. It's not like Cozzia went to the factory and said, we'd like to order these chairs. You are an extension of the factory. So it's a little different than most other massage chair companies. So I thought maybe you could take a little time and explain the history of Cozzia in the United States, how it began, and what the relationship is with the factory.
Sure. Well, let me give you a little background about the company that I work for, because I tell you what, it's an awesome company, and Cozzia is a subsidiary of it. So you mentioned Ogawa. Ogawa is basically in our parent's name. So our parent company is located in Xiamen, China, and the company is Ogawa Smart Healthcare Technology Group. And so they just renamed the company to Ogawa, I want to say 2019 or so. Previously, it was Xiamen Comfort Science and Technology. But when they've gone more global, because it's just a global concern, and when they went global, because they have about 800 retail outlets all through Southeast Asia, Australia, and parts of Europe, the Ogawa company does.
Wow.
And it's under Ogawa. And so when they did that, because of the global presence of the Ogawa name, they decided to use that as the company name. So that's where the change was.
Okay.
But the company itself is just shy of $1 billion total revenue, US dollars.
Wow.
So it's a large company, and they do have a global presence. And so our chairman founded the company in 1996, basically with just doing electronic parts, and he just grew the business over the years. He is quite entrepreneurial. And now we're the largest manufacturer of robotic massage chairs globally.
Wow.
Robotic massage chairs as well as electric massage appliances. And so pretty large. We're the top exporter in the whole massage industry from China.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's a large company. The company is, for what, it's kind of interesting the way things are set up, but our company is set up, it actually consults with hospitals. There's a board that they have for the hospitals in China, and our company is on the board. We're also a core sponsor of the China Massage Industry Standards. I think we're the vice president of that organization. We have 10,000 plus employees.
Wow.
The company exports to over 60 countries. I think it's closer to 75 at this point. And we have global subsidiaries. We have 15 global subsidiaries, which Cozzia is one of them. And I find it really interesting because we'll get into Cozzia a little bit and how we're structured. But when I'm working with other folks, whether it's with retailers or manufacturers, is that we have 800 engineers. And when I tell people that, they're like, "What?" That's
Yeah,
what we
that's
have in our staff. And so that those 800 engineers have approximately $20 million R&D fund. And so what that means is that we look at Cozzia and we look at our parent company. We're a technology company. That's what we are. And so we have over 500 patents. This, or the single company does. And I think you had mentioned, what kind of capacity do we have? And so we have capacity to manufacture, we'll say 300 or 750,000 chairs plus, somewhere in there, is what our capacity is.
wow.
For robotic massage chair. And then some of the brands that we manufacture for, besides massage chairs, some other industries, Honeywell, Homedics, we do Brookstone, Jam Audio. We even dabble with Samsonite and some things that they do. So any big box store you go to in the US, you'll purchase something out of our factories.
Wow. So it's not just massage chairs. I did not know that. It's far more broad.
We also we own a company in Germany, which is also very interesting because we use some of their tech. It's called Medisana, and Medisana is a German medical device company, and they actually developed the first home healthcare robot, which
Really?
I actually stumbled across it by accident in New York. I was doing an event in New York, and all of a sudden this little robot comes scrolling over towards me, and we found out that they were from our parent company. We had no idea that they were going to be at the same show that I was in.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So they've developed that, and I've seen where that's even evolved now to it's going into beyond the home healthcare. It's going into the medical side of it, where doctors are actually using the robot in some aspect or another.
Huh.
So it's an exciting company to be a part of.
Yeah, I had no idea it was that broad of feature set or product set. Now, the name EasePal, that was the name that I always knew them to be when I first got in the industry. When did that change? And
you can still go out there and you'll see stuff on EasePal, but it's it's all under the Ogawa umbrella at this point. But you're right, it was referred to. A lot of people called it EasePal instead of the Comfort or Xiamen Comfort Science and Technology. And the two were being used kind of like interchangeably, and then they just made it all under the Ogawa. So I think you'll still see some references out there from both names, but now the proper corporate title is Ogawa Smart Healthcare Technology.
It's kind of consolidated now. What? How many factories are there in this company?
That's a great question, because it's the company. I got to tell you, I've been in the management role since, well, this is my 10th year. And it's like an onion. I keep learning more about this company.
Yeah.
So to give you an honest answer, I really couldn't tell you, but there's multiple facilities, and they have them not only in Xiamen or in the Xiamen area of China, but they also have some Japanese facilities. There's a few in Japan that we use, that we have offices in Japan.
Huh.
And so even like in Israel, where it's the way it's structured there, we're actually just part of a technology consortium that we're investors with in Israel. So the company it's large. It's heavily involved in tech.
Yeah.
It's primarily health tech.
Yeah.
And as far as manufacturing facilities, I couldn't give you a number. I really couldn't.
Wow, isn't that something? Now, if you could maybe go into a little bit of and I might just mention, I know that the Ogawa factory does create chairs for other massage chair companies, private label them, and there are some chairs that we sell that are sold by other companies that are all built in the Ogawa network. So it's they've got their fingers everywhere, and that's pretty.
They do. They do that, which sometimes can be a little frustrating, but that's the reality. And they also do components for a lot of folks too. So some of the chairs that you purchase, they'll buy components from us.
Now maybe you could go into a little bit about the Cozzia brand in the United States. Maybe talk a little bit about how it started and when it started. I've become familiar with them over recent years, but I know that they've been around before. Maybe you can touch on that a bit, because people will probably understand a little bit of your history.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the detailed history. I know the broad part of it because I was involved with part of it, and that is they were the Cozzia they are the subsidiary of Ogawa, so we are wholly owned by the company. And at one point, there was a manufacturer called Berkline. It's an upholstery manufacturer that was in the United States, and it was a very large upholstery manufacturer. We introduced Berkline, because I was with Berkline. We introduced what we called our shiatsu massage chair, and it was kind of a revolution for the furniture industry. And I want to say it was probably 96, 97, somewhere in there. We introduced a chair with just a basic rolling mech that we bought from a company in Europe. That's what Berkline got into it. As Berkline evolved into the massage chair category, we realized we weren't real sophisticated, and so we actually contracted Cozzia to build chairs for us under the Berkline name. And so that's when we got Berkline got real serious into it. Instead of having 1 or 2 chairs in our category, then we broadened out to 5 or 6 chairs with a full program. And then that went forth. And then Berkline had gone through several buyouts over the years. And in 2011 was kind of the end of the road. And Berkline went out of business. And so then Cozzia, Mark Holmes, our CEO, got in touch with Bob Bruns, our president, and Bob was with Berkline, and Bob and Mark worked out a new business plan with using some of the old Berkline network to kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak, with Cozzia, and that was in 2011.
Yeah.
And we sold primarily into the furniture channel, which is the business that we understand the best, or we understood the best at the time. And that's how we built the business. Primarily through the brick and mortar furniture channel. And now we've broadened beyond that because Cozzia has several brands now and other categories as well. Now this chair you show there, that's the original Berkline chair. So that's what I have. And I first started, and that chair retailed for $3,000 back in 98, 99.
It's come a long way, hasn't it?
Yeah, they did. That was a wood frame, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You can imagine you had a wood frame with a steel roller mech that was basically installed into the back. But they sold, and they sold well, because there was really, at that time, there was only one competitor out there, and that was Panasonic. Yeah. And Panasonic, wasn't in our distribution at all. They had their own, which is, at that time, they had the Brickstone stores and Sharper Image stores. That's where you would find them. Yeah. Long time ago.
And that chair, that first Berkline chair, that is a $3,000 chair at the time, eh?
Yeah, retail.
Wow, it's amazing how far these chairs have come. And what year was that chair brought to market?
That was the late 90s. So, I'm kind of ballparking here, but it's somewhere in the 96, 97, somewhere in there is where we introduced we called it the shiatsu chair.
And then, now, when did you get involved with, because your history is kind of interesting. Your family is like furniture people, if I'm not mistaken. But you've been...
Yeah, before I became a high-tech guy, I was a furniture guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long have you been doing the massage chair thing for?
Well, I started selling, my first exposure to massage chairs was at Berkline. And so that goes back into the 90s. So, 25, 30 years.
Jeez.
Is where I am now with that.
That's
and
pretty
in the furniture
amazing.
world. That's what I grew, furniture side. That's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
My grandfather had a store, and my dad was in the business as a merchandiser for a company called Broyhill. He was also in sales, and so he was heavily involved with the furniture industry. And then I have 2 brothers that were also, one still active in it and one retired in the furniture business. So.
And where's your family from originally?
They're all Midwesterners. I say they because I was actually born in Kentucky, but the rest of the family's from Ohio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and if people haven't seen it yet, your cup is an Ohio State.
Yeah, I always have a cup of coffee, and this happens to be the mug of choice today.
You always have to be careful. You always have to be careful flashing colors, because people will be watching. I got my Edmonton Oilers cup. And man, I'm sure if there's anybody from Calgary watching this, I'm going to hear about it. But anyways, and I'm sure the same for you for Michigan. If there's a Michigan fan out there, they might have a comment.
We
Now,
can talk massage chairs with no problem. We'll just stay away from the sports side.
yeah, we'll stay away from the sports. So then we've already got a question here. I will get to this one in just a moment because I want to talk just a little bit more about the history of the company in America. So it started out with the Berkline Association, and then Cozzia kind of supplanted that.
Yep.
And then how did and you mentioned Cozzia is primarily for furniture stores. Now, how did Ogawa and JP Medics come into being? What was the purpose? Was it strictly for online people, or was it for hybrid stores? What was the purpose of bringing those lines in?
Kind of both. So Cozzia is responsible basically. It's for, family of brands would be Cozzia, Ogawa, which you mentioned, JP Medics. We have a line called Ergotech. And we have the Brookstone chairs. We're the licensee for the Brookstone massage chairs. And then we also do zero gravity recliners, of which we've become very strong with. It's a very fast growing part of our business. That's called Svago, SVAGO.
Yeah.
And we also just recently, I'll say within the last 4 years or so, also do Cozzia custom components, which is primarily in the furniture and mattress industries, that we do components for those industries.
Oh, so not just massage chairs, you do for different types of furniture.
Correct.
Okay.
And so, we do lots of things. And so to answer your question about Ogawa and JP Medics specifically, Ogawa, yes. One of the things that we don't do with Cozzia is sell direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So you must be a Cozzia dealer to have the product. And we have, when you go into a authorized Cozzia retailer, they'll have an assortment of chairs. That's part of the program. And 90% of them have at least 4 chairs.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, you can see an assortment of Cozzia chairs, see some of the differences, and find the chair that suits you the best.
Yeah.
And so that's Cozzia. And so it's a very specific model. It's in the brick and mortar, so there's no direct to consumer. Ogawa is kind of both. So it is, we do direct to consumer.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in some brick and mortars. And so it's a little of both.
Yeah.
And JP Medics was designed for those consumers who would like to have a product that comes out of a Japanese facility, which is what JP Medics represents.
Yeah.
So it's you'll see JP Medics in selected retailers and also in events. You'll find it in some of the events you might go to. You might walk into, maybe it's a state fair in Idaho or in Utah, and you might see JP Medics chairs at a state fair, or maybe at a home show. You'll walk in, you'll see JP Medics. You probably won't see a Cozzia chair at those types of events,
right?
But you might see a JP Medics or possibly an Ogawa.
Now we have Ogawa and JP Medics in our showrooms. We're kind of a hybrid, and I know that you've got to have at least 3 Cozzia chairs in a showroom to carry the Cozzia line in our stores, and that's probably our biggest issue is space for that. But the Cozzia chairs and the Ogawa and the JP Medics chairs, there's a lot of technology sharing and feature sharing amongst the brands. I am aware of that, but they all kind of have their own little unique thing that makes them just a little different. And so I think that you guys have probably perfected the technology with all these models that you have. And if there is a little crossover from one brand to the next, if you came out with a new model and you had the chair doctor feature in it, I wouldn't have any concerns about it being, having to go through what we call a glitch stage, where you're going to see if the chair is going to work, if there's going to be problems that come up, like a lot of new models do. And you guys probably don't have to deal with that as much because the technology has been around and has been, it's already been proven in other models. So it's pretty sure bet that the chair is going to be stable. And by the way, my experience with your guys' chairs, with the Ogawa, the Xiaomen chairs, is that they're well-made chairs. It's I would say arguably that it's one of the best factories in China, and there's hundreds of factories in China, massage chair factories, or I should say factories that make massage chairs. They're not all massage chair factories.
Yeah, I'm a little prejudiced, but I deal with. I have a unique position in that I work on the component side as well, and so I'm dealing with our R&D department, and we have a team there devoted to Cozzia. And I got to tell you, it goes even with on the Cozzia domestic side, and then on the Asian side in China, they're awesome. They really are. And so we just launched a program with a large bedding company, and their comments to me was, "We've never had a product come in so clean," and it's just because of the type of quality control that we have, and the teams that we have. They're really really good. Because I don't know, all I can do is kind of give them ideas of what a client might be suggesting. They're the ones that, working with Mark Holmes, they put it together and make it work. And it's just amazing to me how well that they get it done. And I ship a prototype over, and the prototype gets checked out, and next thing you know, we're in production because they're that seamless.
That's good. That's a nice feature to have with your product. Now you mentioned that the JP Medic chairs and Mad Dog 65 is the one that made the comment. We'll talk about that in just a minute when we get to the new technology. But the JP Medic's chairs now, are the components? Is there a certain percentage of the chair that's made in Japan, like the JP Medic Kumo or the Cozzia?
Yeah, it's going to vary, and it's not. Honestly, a good portion of the components, without question, are going to come from our factory in China.
Right.
Go to the Japanese facility. There are some components that they'll build depending on what the requirements for that particular chair are. It does go through a Japanese quality control that they have in their own facility.
Yeah.
And there'll be some software changes that they'll do.
Okay.
So I know that this comes up. I see it out there from all different manufacturers coming out of Japan when it comes to massage chairs. I think at this point maybe there's one I'm not aware of, so I shouldn't say that as a blanket statement, but I would say that at least 90% of the manufacturers out of Japan are buying a certain amount of components out of China for the chairs. And that's just because that's where they're available.
Yeah.
And that's the why.
Well, and it's not just the Japanese, quote unquote Japanese chairs. I mean, even the Chinese chairs buy components from other countries, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, or Taiwan. So it's not like it's almost impossible to find a chair that is 100% made in one country, just because of the cost of goods sold, the cost of parts sold, the availability of parts in countries where the labor might be cheaper or the production is cheaper. So it's almost become like a jigsaw puzzle of pieces that come from various parts, and they just make them work seamlessly together. But it's tough to say. Yeah, that's a truly 100% made in Japan chair, or made in the United States chair, or made in Korea chair.
The auto industry is pretty much the same thing. It's a pretty similar reflection. If it's made in the U.S., well, the components are from all over the place.
Yeah, it's a global economy, man. It's a global economy. The world has become a lot smaller, and it's hard to find anything made in one place anymore, unless it's something simple like maybe a ladder or a chair or something like that. And obviously there's things made in America or made in Japan, but when you start getting into these mechanical and electronic consolidators of components, it's going to be tough to get a clean 100% chair made in any place. But anyways, that's good conversation point. Anyways, and we get asked a lot about that. I just posted a video last week. It talks about where's my chair made, or where's your chair made, because it's very confusing to people. People, I want a chair that's made in Japan. That's what I want. Or I want a chair that's made in America. And for the most part, they can be made there, but it'll never be 100%. Now, Mad Dog 65 is asking, do you think dual rollers will be the next big innovation and other makers will be including them? And I'm not sure if he means dual rollers, if he means split track chairs, but You obviously have some opinion on that because Ogawa just came out with a split track chair, the Duo, and I talked about it briefly on my blog post of what we saw at CES, but or sorry, at Furniture Market. But maybe you could touch a little bit on that inquiry about the split tracks, and I think that's what he meant by dual rollers, because dual rollers have been around. There was dual rollers before there were ever quad rollers back in the early days of massage chairs. And it became 4 rollers instead of 2. But the split, yeah, he says mentioned, yes, split track. Do you have any input on that? Not,
Do
John,
I think
not
it's
on
the
this
future?
topic. What's that?
I'll say it might be part of the future. And the reason why you were in Las Vegas in the new technology that we introduced. Yes, we have the we'll just say the dual roller. With the roll, it's got the 4-head roller in the back and the 4 in the seat. So we have that with Ogawa, but on the Cozzia side, I think you saw technology that to me is far superior. So to answer the question, yeah, I think we'll probably have a couple more dual rollers coming out into our lineup. But as far as moving the tech forward, I think what we introduced, and again, it was just kind of an introduction to our new quantum chair.
Yeah.
To me, that chair, because of what it can do and as sophisticated as it is, me, that's the future.
Okay.
The marketplace will tell me a lot more when we get it out there in the fall.
Right.
But based on people's experience with the chair at the Las Vegas market, the results were really good, really good. People understood. They really understood it. But do I think the having the dual mechs, dual robots is going to be a part? Yeah, I think so. Just like the L track was. Now this just takes the to me, it just takes the L track. It's like the next evolution. So this is what this is.
Yeah.
Whereas the quantum to me is not an evolution. It's a revolution. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Because of what it does.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over time, and I'm sure that that technology, if it's revolutionary and it's the future, yeah, we're going to see it in your chairs, and of course, then there'll be people knocking it off. I mean, that's just the way the industry works. But yeah, I sat in that chair, and it was a nice chair. It was very smooth, very quiet chair. Pretty impressive speaker system. I couldn't even tell where the sound was coming from. But it was a good, strong chair. I don't think I fully appreciated all the technology that was going into it, because I was just more or less just experiencing the chair, not really focusing on any particular one aspect or one feature that may be new or where all the innovation has gone to. I don't know if that's if I really noticed a tremendous difference from one chair to the next. But when you're in a place like that and there's lots of activity.
Yeah, and that one I think because I think when you were there we were fairly busy.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, because the software, that's the part it's not finalized yet. The software we're still working on. The hardware is pretty much there. But if you didn't go through like the whole, unfortunately, the whole 15 minutes, then you'd probably be missed part, and you probably didn't have time to do that.
Yeah. But the screen, like the remote control, is I don't even think it should be called a remote control. It should be like a computer pad or something. It was pretty impressive. That was an impressive thing.
Yeah, well, there's some things that you'll see in Vegas when you hopefully come to see us in July. You'll see where that screen really comes into play.
Yeah,
we had that under wraps.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
You'll see where that really comes into play.
Yeah, it was pretty slick. I'd like to sit down in that chair again and just maybe with some quiet focus. I don't know how easy that is to do that at Furniture Market, because it's always going on. And then there's people sitting next to you that are talking to you, and it's tough to focus. But it was a nice, very nice chair. Now the Duo I did sit in also, and I'm a big split track guy. I love these split tracks or the dual tracks, and to answer Mad Dog more fully, yes, we're going to see more and more of the split tracks out. There are definitely going to be more and more of those out in the industry. That, like John says, that is the next. That's the new best thing right now. Another comment here. Thanks for doing the live stream today. Will the Ogawa Master Drive Duo be similar to the Daiwa Supreme Hybrid? I'm looking for a comparable chair with a better heat, and the impressive stretch. Okay, so I'm going to answer part of this one because I'm probably more familiar with the comparisons between the two. But the Supreme Hybrid, I would say the heat on the Duo is definitely superior to that of the Hybrid. The Hybrid heat function you can hardly feel it. And I do know that is a comment that we have heard and experienced since we started carrying that model. The stretch on the Hybrid is very impressive stretch. And I went through the stretch on the Duo, and I don't remember it being it didn't extend me as far back as the Hybrid did, but the stretch was still intense. And maybe, John, you could speak to the stretch of the new Duo chair.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Daiwa's got a very good stretch to it. That's kind of like what their claim to fame is for that particular chair. And so I guess all chairs have their strengths.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the heating issues. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the Duo definitely has better heat. Yeah.
The thing that we focus on, that we try to separate ourselves from the others, and maybe I'm sorry, who is the person asking the question?
The name is D said, so I guess just call him D, or her or him D.
Okay, so D. In this case, what we kind of focus on with the Duo is the chair doctor. And so the chair doctor, if you're not familiar, is a biometric reading that the chair takes. And we introduced the chair doctor initially back in 2017, 2018. It was the first chair doctor we introduced. And it was actually, we were a little ahead of the curve, and it was a $13,000 chair. And it was a great chair, just we couldn't deliver it. But the technology that was in it was amazing and is amazing. And that is the fact that by holding a sensor in your hand, the chair will actually, will probe you or push you in 6 different zones. And it pushes in your neck, inner shoulders, outer shoulders, and then 3 zones on your back. And when it does that, it pushes pretty hard. Your body is going to react, and it reacts a couple different ways. One of them is kind of an interesting term. It's called galvanic skin response. Galvanic skin response is kind of a fancy term for saying it's going to change the moisture content in your hand, which causes a difference in electrical conductivity, and also read your heart rate. So what the chair doctor does, it has software on board. It reads these 6 different zones that we talked about. And as your body reacts to the robot pushing, it records it, and then it maps out your back, and it's trying to find out where you have tension. So this is the first chair doctor with dual mechs in the industry. Yep. And so what it does is it reads and shows where the tension is, and then it gives you a customized massage based on what it sees at that moment. And the reason why I phrase it that way at that moment is because maybe, Alan, you've been cooped up with COVID.
Yeah.
And so maybe you've been working on your computer a lot this week. And so your body, your shoulders and your back are going to be contracted a certain way. And when you do the chair doctor, it's going to see your back a certain way based on your desk work. Well, maybe you felt great during the weekend. You finally get outside and you do a lot of gardening. Well, Monday morning, it could see your back in a whole different way. Yeah. And give you a customized massage based on what it saw at that moment. Yeah. So that, to me, is the claim to fame for our Ogawa Duo. Yeah, it's got the dual robots. It's got a 4D mechanism in the back and a 3D mechanism in the bottom, which I think is also very unique to have the 4 plus the 3. Quad heads on both. And so by having a 4D and a 3D, it means it's very adjustable as far as the robot tension, as far as how far it is pushing or stretching. So it does give you a lot of capability in that manner.
That's a good point. A lot of the split tracks, at least the earlier ones, the seat rollers were basically 2D. So they could go in and out and side to side, but the depth wouldn't change. So having 3D roller mechanism on the bottom track that's innovative. Yes, very good.
For me, it's imperative because I'm not an L-track person. So especially at one point, I was quite a bit heavier than I am now. And when you're a heavier person on an L-track, underneath, sometimes it just wasn't all that great, and you couldn't adjust it. It was maybe too strong. And now you can, because of the fact that it's got a 3D mech in it. You can actually adjust it. That's a big leap forward.
Yeah, and the 4 rollers on the top and 4 on the bottom. All the configurations are different. Some have 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, 4 on the bottom, 2 on top.
Yeah.
and the 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. So you have a total of 8 rollers that are working on you during the massage, and they all feel very different. But I felt that when I sat on the Duo, I felt it was a good, firm, strong massage, and it was smooth. It sounded quiet. Again, it's hard to tell in the bloody booth there at the furniture market because it's noisy and there's a lot of ambient noise. But it seemed like a smooth, quiet chair. I'm looking forward to try that out. And is that chair actually available now to buy and put?
Yeah, we have it in inventory.
Okay,
So
it's in inventory.
There's three colors.
Yeah, and you're welcome. DD says thanks very much, John and Dr. Widener. Mad Dog is coming back and asking what was the model of that quantum chair you talked about? But that's what it's called. It's called the Cozzia Quantum, right?
Yeah, it's called the Quantum.
So
it'll be available from is Mad Dog, you said?
Yeah, this is Mad Dog.
Yeah, Mad Dog. It'll be available in the fall. So we showed it to, because at Las Vegas we have pretty decent attendance at the Vegas show in January. We just wanted people to kind of get a feel for what we're doing and what's coming. And then so it'll have its official launch in April at the High Point Furniture Market, and it'll be shipping in August/September, somewhere in that window.
Now there's thank you. That's good information, and I'm sure we're going to hear and see more about that chair. Michael Rodeski. Hello, Michael. He's from Germany, and I met him at CES, and he distributes massage chairs through Europe. And
cool.
And he mentioned here the Chair Doctor technology is mostly technology Sanyo filled patents for in 1988 from his research perspective. I don't know anything about the Chair Doctor type of technology. And John, you know more about it than I do. As a matter of fact, the way you explained it, I could tell, number one, you've told a lot of people that before, because it just
I've been doing it for a while.
But I don't know much. I don't know anything about the history of that technology. You probably know a little bit more than I do.
I don't know much about the Sanyo chair. I came across it the same way. Michael, the same way he came across it, probably. And so I don't know whatever happened with that. I do know that they had something of that type. I think it was a little different than ours, but yeah, I think they had some of that some time back. We introduced it to the marketplace again. I think it was 2017, 18, somewhere in there. And at that point, there was nobody else in the in our space that was doing it.
Yeah, no, I'd never seen it before until I think we saw it first in the Ogawa Master Drive. I think that's where we first saw it, and people like it. The techies especially like it. But I'll tell you something about that Chair Doctor, which I find impressive. I don't work much with the day-to-day interactions with customers as I used to, but when we had the Master Drive AI in the store and when we used the Chair Doctor feature, and people would they'd see the map of what this scanning technology would evaluate as far as where their tight spots were. It was pretty dang accurate. As a matter of fact, people would say, I would ask them, now, is that where your tightness is? Is that where you feel sore? Yeah, that's exactly. It was pretty neat how precise it was. And
yeah, it can be satisfying when that happens. Honestly, it can be a lot of fun. And that's, being in the space that we're in, you and I, with massage chairs, it is a lot of fun. But that's one of the things that you see with the Chair Doctor. The first one that I sold at retail was a $13,000 chair, and it was actually at the State Fair of Texas, of all places. Yeah. But a gentleman came in, and he was in a chair that he shouldn't have been in. He was in a lower price chair. I could see he wasn't enjoying himself, and he was with his wife. So I invited him to come over to at that time, the new Chi, and put him in the Chi and his wife, and let him go through, explain what was doing with the Chair Doctor and stuff. He says, yeah, it's pretty accurate. And then he went through the massage, and then it was like, wow. His wife actually told him to buy the chair. Why? He had been in a severe car accident and was always in pain.
Yeah.
She said, that's the first time I've ever heard you say, one, they understood the pain. And now it's like, that's the chair telling him where the pain is, that it was accurate, and that it really helped alleviate his pain.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had stories like that in your stores and stuff, but when you hear that, that's fun.
Yeah.
We get that, like in the Vegas show, it's just, we had a lot of people in the chairs using the chair doctor, and they'll say, yeah, it nailed it. That's exactly the problems I have.
Yeah.
It is kind of cool. It's a lot of fun.
And you bring up a point that is not something I plan on talking about, but it is fun when you have people trying your chairs out, and then you get feedback from them, like, I have headaches, and I was just sitting in the chair because it was comfortable, and I thought it would make my back feel better, and my headaches are gone, or I feel like I can breathe deeper, or hey, I didn't know this when I got the chair from you, but man, I sleep good at night now, and that is fun. That is one of the funnest things.
It's you get to help somebody, and it's I think probably the most dramatic experience I've had with that was I was in Florida. I was just calling on one of our retailers in doing training, and it was just a coincidence that a woman comes in, and I don't know, she was 45, 50-ish, but she was interested in the zero gravity chairs, and so we put her in a chair. She actually started crying. I'm like, oh, what'd I do?
Wow.
And because she was a tennis pro, and she said it's the first time that I've had zero pain.
Wow.
Wow. That was a big thing. And so
that's huge.
It is. And it's just because you put her in zero gravity, she hadn't experienced that before, and it took all the pressure off her back. Not that she was in excruciating pain all the time, but it was always a nagging thing with her. She injured her back, and she's still a tennis pro. And so it just, at that moment, it's like no pain, and she felt great. And so those are the kind of things that it makes it kind of fun to do this.
It really does. And I'll tell you, as you get older, and you appreciate this, and I know I appreciate this. You don't know, you have become numb to any discomfort you might be feeling. So you're not even you're not even sure. You don't even think you have a problem. And then you sit in a massage chair, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, I feel good. It reminded me of when I used to be I'm still a chiropractor, but I'm not a practicing chiropractor. But when I sold my practice to dedicate my time full time to the massage chairs back in 2008, I was so worried about I don't know, being able to just get. My wife and I left at the time to go on a vacation to celebrate the sale of the practice and to begin selling the massage chairs through our store. And we went on a little holiday. I was so nervous about laying in different beds at hotels because I had back pain from being a chiropractor. I was always aware of that. Well, what I didn't realize was by not being a chiropractor anymore, all of a sudden I realized, oh, my wrist pain's gone. I didn't even remember that I had a wrist pain, or my shoulder pain's gone. And I think the chair, when you are used to, if you're just living a regular life, a regular beat the crap out of yourself life, which is pretty much everybody. It doesn't have to be football or riding, rodeo. It can be just sitting in a position all day long, or in a factory where your arms are the same thing all day long. And all of a sudden something comes along, and you just become so accustomed to living like that, you don't even think about the pain anymore. And so now you sit in a massage chair, and all of a sudden, holy mackerel. And it can be fairly instantaneous. Some people will notice it within 5 to 10 minutes. They'll notice a change.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive about the power of a massage chair.
Yep, and actually, it can be really rewarding and a heck of a lot of fun when it really helps people and you can see it. That's one of the things we talk about even on our training is I want to know about people's day. Tell me what they do all day. What kind of job do you have? What happens when you get home? What do you do? And you find out how the chair might help them. And then the other part of this is beyond just the physical. Especially after all of us have experienced as a group, all of us on the call here, it was the whole pandemic deal.
Yeah.
Now it's, I would say it's equal parts mental health, it's stress relief and just total relaxation. You're in a massage chair and you see it at CES. It's probably the best place to see it. The loudest, noisiest, it's just, I would say almost like the rudest place you can be. People fall asleep in massage chairs.
Yeah.
I've shown at CES twice. We did it twice. And, you had to actually politely tell people, you had to wake them up just by getting them out of the chair because they would just pass out.
Yeah.
Here it is in this crazy environment. It just hustle bustle, loud and everything else. And they pass out. And that just shows you what a massage chair can do. And if you put it in your bed of your own home, It can knock you out fast.
Well, and I think some people think it's just a novelty, right? And maybe to some it is, but boy, oh boy, if you when you're in the massage chair business and you have a customer whose chair is broken
Yeah.
and they rely on that chair to get through the day because of pain, back pain, neck pain, headaches, whatever, you realize that it is truly it's not just fluff. It's not just a novelty. It is like a I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a life-giving
It's
therapy.
therapy.
What's that?
It's therapy, and it's they're missing their therapy.
They are. And it's pretty remarkable. I had no idea. Well, and that's how I got in the business of massage chairs. In my clinic, I had an old human touch chair, and all I had was a roller that went up and down the back. That's it. And a calf paddle. That's it. And two of my customers that sat in them wanted to buy them. And they ended up not coming back to my clinic for 6 months because their one had headaches. Her headaches went away. The other one had hip pain. Hip pain went away. And then that's when it kind of clicked with me. Holy crap! This is not just a novelty or a fluff. This is real, and it has become that certainly to thousands of people.
Yeah,
maybe millions.
Looking in your comments there, hey, Michael. So he's I think he's talking about the patents and such. It'd be interesting to see that. Michael, also, I'd just add that the technology that we use for the chair doctor has a lot in common with polygraphs. And so I don't know how much crossover. I'm not an expert on it, but I know that it's very similar to a polygraph as far as the technology that's used. And so it might be, fairly open technology. I don't know, but I just happened to see your note there. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think Michael's an IT guy by trade. And so he's very, very analytical. And when I met him he reached out to me before we went to CES, and we met there, and he's been selling chairs in Europe for 5 years. And the guy knows a lot, and he's that guy. He's that guy that will find that kind of information.
No, it'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That's good stuff.
You mentioned I listened to one of your podcasts. Well, it must have been your weekly update, and you mentioned some of the people you met in Vegas. Some of them are in the like-minded as far as the same business you're in. But you mentioned one that we have in common in the sense that it's a gentleman that I met at CES back in 2000. I think we showed CES the first time was in 2017. And I met this gentleman. He's from Turkey. You might know who I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
And so we started chatting, and he had stores in Turkey, and he knew our factory and our company and such. In fact, he even knew my contact within our factory. And I thought that was really interesting. So we started talking, and then my wife is half Turkish. So we started talking about Turkey and everything else. So we chatted for quite a while. Well, he comes into the showroom. I hadn't seen him since. He comes into our showroom at this Las Vegas market. And we got reacquainted. I said, "You remember me from CES?" And he looks at me, he goes, "Yeah." And he's got stores now, I guess, in California too. So he's got stores in Turkey. Now he's got some stores in California.
Yeah.
Kind of funny how you pop into people at CES of all places. You meet somebody, then you don't think you're going to see them again. And sure enough.
Well, the massage chair world is a pretty small world, really, in the grand scheme of things. But and you kind of run into the same people over and over again, no doubt. And as a matter of fact, I ran into. I like to visit the suppliers, but I ran into more competitors than I did suppliers. And fortunately, I've got a decent relationship with most of them, so it was nice to see a lot of them and spend time together with them. But it was a different dynamic there, that's for sure, when I was at this last one. But but you guys always have your booth there, and I always enjoy going there and talking to you, John. You got a world of knowledge in your head that the rest of us have no comprehension of. Even being in the industry, like I've been in the industry now for 18 years, and that's really nothing compared to how long you've been in there. You've been in there since the 90s. You've got
you've been focused on it for quite a while, but as you do, I have a passion for it. You got a passion for it, and so that kind of makes up for it. And and then working with Cozzia, and honestly, it's just been a a heck of a lot of fun. Not that we don't all have our moments in business, but
Yeah.
we have a great team with, Mark. I think you've met Mark, and
Yeah.
Bob Bruns, our president. I think you've met Mark or Bob as well. And then we have a team that we work together, and it's just, the creativity that goes in our company, both on the product side, because we have a design team in California
Yeah.
that does some of the designs that we do. For instance, the new Quantum, a lot of what you saw came out of our design team, and what Mark kind of leads that. And so the Cozzia team itself, there's just a lot going on. It's a lot of fun, and there's a heck of a lot of passion. So you say I have a lot of knowledge. Well, I got it from a lot of people. So we're immersed in it.
Yeah, and it's always fun to talk to people in the industry. When you're a sole retailer or whatnot, you're kind of an island unto yourself. And that's what I like about going to the CES or the furniture market or doing things like this. I get to talk to people, like-minded people that have a lot more knowledge and a lot of more insights in the industry that I do. And I love to learn. So, you've taught me some things today that I didn't know. So I appreciate that very, very much. Is there anything else that you have on your mind that you'd like to share that we haven't covered? I'm looking at some of topics, and I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about.
Let's see. You see here. You and I talked at the market, and pretty much covered some things, like most things. Is there any questions out there in the audience?
There's still people online. I don't know if anybody has any more questions, but there've been some good questions. I appreciate the engagement today of the different visitors. Michael, who's the German fellow, we'd like to have him as a guest on our broadcast in a few months. Talk about chairs in Europe, because that's a thing. We've had European visitors on these live streams before, and I know that their market is very different than, or maybe not the market. Well, yeah, I would say the market is different. I think the demographics are different. I think the homes and as Michael and I were talking, even the sizes of the people vary quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
places. There's Michael's comment. Thanks, Alan. Yes, my 25 years IT background leads me to deep dive into technology. But anyways, he says we have here multiple models from Ogawa brands with the chair doctor, and it's clear to. And I can't remember all precise. Anyways, but it looks like they've got Ogawa over there in Germany too, and I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, you're in 60 countries, for heaven's sakes. That's a massive presence.
Yeah, and I wish I could be working with you, Michael, in Germany. I'd love to come visit. But you're out of my jurisdiction. Hey, I threw something on the screen I thought you might get a bang out of.
Let me add it. Let's
add here for Cozzia. And I don't know. This one just makes me laugh every time I see it. Is our man's best friend, and this is our company mascot. His name is Oakley, and he's all of a massive 10 pounds. We started using him in our ads, and he tickles me, and it just shows you we do have fun in this business. And it says, comforting, dependable, always there at the end of the hard day. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
I
would be remiss, Alan, if I did not point out about Cozzia. That Furniture Today. I don't know if you are familiar with Furniture Today or not, but it's a trade publication for the furniture retailers and manufacturer. Yeah. And Cozzia got the 3 years in a row the #1 massage chair supplier.
Wow.
#1, and also we're the #1 component supplier. Which is for doing components. We've only been doing components about 4 years, and we were ranked #1 from the manufacturers and the retailers.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah, I thought that. I honestly like to pound my chest a little bit. I'm pretty proud of our team.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that, and I congratulate you for that. I know. Well, for heaven's sakes, anybody in the industry knows that the Ogawa factory makes good massage chairs. We know that. I just was shocked by the breadth and depth of the coverage. I like just the fact that all the things that you do outside of massage chairs, it's all still part of the same corporate entity. It's mind-boggling to me. But yeah, I need to come out there and see that factory. I went to Rotai a few years ago and had a wonderful time there. Maybe I can get you guys to sponsor me to come out and see the factory in Xiamen. That'd be nice.
One never knows. I know Mark's out there quite a bit at this point. He's been traveling since everything opened up. He's been heading over there quite a bit. So,
well, I'll reach out when the time comes, and yeah, I would love to come visit that factory for sure. But thank you, John. Thank you so much for being on this call today. And I know you're a busy man, so I know it's not easy for you to make time all the time. And I'm very grateful for it. If there's I don't think there's any other questions or comments. I'm not seeing anything pop up. But John, thanks again for your valuable time. And in this class today on the Ogawa world.
We'll have to do a reverse. I'll have to do another one with you, and I'm going to interview you and find out your whole background and how you got into all this stuff. So that would be another. That'll be the next chapter, Alan. We'll do that.
Mine's pretty boring, but yeah. Anyways, I'd be happy to visit with you anytime, John. And it's good to finally have you on one of our live streams. So thank you so much.
Are you welcome? I was happy to be here and nice talking to your audience.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll have this posted on YouTube and Facebook later. So you're welcome to watch this, John, and you're welcome to use it in your world any way that you see, it serves you. So, but thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Thanks, John. Bye-bye.